I've been gone for a while, and I don't really think anyone cares, but for clarity, I'm in my last few weeks of high school and I'm going to be graduating soon. But anyways, it's time for a channel review of Sonic Drift. I'm excited to delve in and see what makes this channel tick, and I'm not going to waste any time, so let's jump right in. Firstly, let's talk about thumbnails. So when speaking to Drift, he actually told me part of his process. He uses PNGs of his plushies in Ibis Paint X, and Pixart is also used, of course, but sparingly. It's just for extra details, and Ibis is usually used for title cards as well as artwork. And now observing these up close, I'm a little on the fence. The more recent ones are, of course, the best and look outstanding, especially his stuff from Season 2. But as a whole, some look really good, but others look really off. More specifically from Season 1, characters have white outlines, which is good, however their expressions are a tad bit off looking. Most look good, but there's like one or two more that look a bit goofy, that being Episode 6 and maybe 7. Also on 8, it's clear that the hand is being cut off, which I understand why. I think what could aid this kind of conundrum is posing Sonic in the green screen and cutting it out separately to get that pose and keeping your hand out of frame. As for Season 2, the thumbnails look far better, colors-wise, effects, expressions, and the logo. The only stain is Episode 6, which looks really low quality and very goofy. But comparing these all to Sonic Retro, they are a huge improvement, since those have the previous issues I just mentioned, but up to the nth degree. In short, the thumbnails are very good, and especially Episode 9, which came out recently. Drift has improved and made some dynamic stuff here, and he was even nice enough to show off new thumbnails, and they look fantastic. But now let's get to... Now we'll keep this as short as possible. The characters are meant to be respectful to what we've known them as in the games. Of course, there's nothing wrong with making them how you want. However, making them faithful is tough, since it's arguable you'll receive more criticism for not staying true rather than being different. When something is different, most people tend to be very dismissive. Nowadays, people put their focus on a piece of work being a perfect translation of an original creation, and the same goes for character representation. Drift has said, though, he does add a bit of his own touch, like their introductions and some of their personality. One such example he pointed me towards was to Shadow in Black Doom in Season 2, and he even said something involving Sonic's past. Speaking on what I said previously, Sonic and Tails are what you'd expect. They're good, and the others are about right, so I'd say he nailed this. Before we get to the episodes, I'll address the strengths and weaknesses of Season 1. The voice acting, mostly done by Drift, is pretty solid, but it does have a few hiccups like mic popping, echoes, and such. It's not bad, but it's noticeable. Close-ups are also done a bit too much. The camera movement itself is good, and the sound design is decent, good music and sound effects are used. You'll notice that Drift peppers in sprite animations throughout his episodes to transition a scene, and they look nice. One thing that I'm not a fan of, however, are the expressions on the characters, because every time I saw them they looked like they were going to fall off, and some look a bit goofy. Finally, a lot of filters are used for times of day and variety. And that's about it. The beginning mostly sets up Eggman's plans and establishes his role, that he's threatening and will throw whatever he can at Sonic and his friends. Sonic himself is just seen searching at the beginning and then pairs up with Tails later in the episode, until finding a Batnik and trying to fight them until he just gets knocked out. I think this is a decent start for what it is, with some editing flaws and odd sound choices, but it's not bad. I like the opening with the new location. It's nice to see Chaos get his own spot for his intro, because he is pretty integral to Season 1. Knuckles got knocked out by nothing. Like, I get we aren't meant to see what's hitting him, but there's hiding a character, then there's just not showing them. And I do like this news segment here. It's just good world building, so I appreciate it. The fight scene between Sonic and Chaos could have been better, mainly due to how it's filmed, something more akin to what Kodo did. Definitely a more interesting episode, though. Episode 3 has a much better fight scene between Sonic and Chaos in the midpoint, which addresses my previous complaint very well, and the close-ups are far better and are utilized more appropriately. Knuckles saves Sonic, and there's some nice interior shots to round it all off. Overall, good episode, just not really much going on, though, besides the things I just mentioned. One thing that's strange to me is how easily Tails opens a book found in the previous episode that Knuckles couldn't even open. He uses scissors, which is just weird, but anyways, we get an improved sprite sequence from the last one, and otherwise more mayhem and stunning camera angles. The movements of the characters almost give me ex-Halo vibes, which I know sounds really crazy, but it's the first thing that popped into my head. Overall, this was a great episode. 5 isn't much to write home about. Knuckles wanders out and there's a cool fight scene with the Motobug, great angles, sound design and such. Overall decent and definitely the most compact episode, along with episode 3. Gamma does some training at the beginning of the episode where he tests his defense against some firepower. We get some lore drops regarding the book, that being it dates back to Knuckles' old tribe and has some records of war. The strangest thing about this episode is the scene between Sonic and Amy. The color in it is just unnaturally pink, but it is neat at the same time, and Drift did tell me that that's the point. Gamma finds and kidnaps Amy, and it ends off on a melancholic note. Honestly, it's a very atmospheric and mellow episode, which I like. Knuckles finds Sonic after searching for a while to discover he's on the floor after his fight with Gamma. He continues to search for Amy later on, only to encounter Gamma. But Gamma evades him after a short skirmish, then Sonic recovers, and it ends with a tease at new info about the book. Not a noteworthy episode, and it might be the weakest one, but it's still atmospheric and it's still pretty cool. And it's compact, just like 3 and 5, so it's among the easier ones to sit through. 8 continues with Knuckles' search. This episode has better music and a much better use of colors than the previous ones, if you ask me. In the info of the book is revealed that the Chaos Emerald's full energy isn't needed for a super form, because 50% of it is dark and 50% is positive, though it's dangerous, as said by Tails. Knuckles saves Amy, Chaos goes completely berserk with said emeralds, Knuckles and Amy deactivate Gamma after a long and painful fight with Sonic and Tails. Sonic runs off to catch Chaos only to encounter Metal Sonic, and it ends. Again, nothing crazy, but very good. 9 picks up with a battle between Sonic and Metal. It's pretty fun, solid effects, and it becomes more impactful as it continues. The same can be said for Tails and Knuckles' fight against Chaos. The episode cuts back and forth. Metal is defeated, and Sonic's line about the freedom to choose your own path is a nice closer, and probably some of my favorite writing in this entire season. And I like that Metal's fate is ambiguous, and in a way it's kind of left up to our imagination. It could come back later on, who knows. On the other side, Knuckles and Tails are struggling to fight Chaos because he seemingly just can't be taken down at all, even after so many hits. And their fate is up in the air by the end. Episode 10 is a long one, and I've done my best to summarize it. It's incredibly climactic and has Drift's best acting as Sonic yet. The battle between him and Chaos is a long and excruciating one, but it's been building up to it, and it was fantastic. However, the water and electricity explanation is a bit annoying because, yeah, they don't mix, obviously, and Sonic figuring that out later was annoying, but I guess you could chalk it up to him being laser-focused on beating Chaos with brute force instead of just thinking about that, which is fine, because the battle was amazing, and it's easily the best one of the first season. But after that, we get this really bizarre explosion clip at the end after Sonic clashes with Chaos. I understand why it was put there, but it just looked really out of place, to me at least. It continues being very grand and epic, though, once Sonic collapses from the sheer exhaustion of the battle. And his friends go searching for him, but they can't seem to find him and are very worried because they just saw a giant explosion. But they eventually find him, and he recovers eventually after. He is still recovering by the end of the episode, but he seems to be doing better. And they have a very introspective conversation about what the future holds for them, and it's probably my favorite interaction between all of them. And it ends off with some really cool teases into the future seasons, which I'm not going to say here. I want you guys to actually go watch this episode because it's really awesome. So, yeah, that's season 1. Honestly, so far, after watching Season 1, I am quite pleased and indeed excited for Season 2, which, during the making of this video, has concluded. Stick around for whenever I get to that. I'm in college right now, so I'll try my best to figure out what time I will. By far, the best episodes, I'd say, are 9 and 10. I can wholeheartedly recommend Season 1. Great work, Drift. Anyways, I'm SML Continuity, signing off.